Everyone, I'm Bharti Sharma. So let us continue forth from where we had stopped yesterday. But before we start, let us do the comprehension check, oral comprehension check. So it will be a sort of revision for you. The first question is, what makes writing in a diary a strange experience for Anne Frank? That is, why does Anne feel it strange to write in a diary? Well, for the first thing, she hadn't written anything before like this. And second, she felt that no one is going to read the musings of a 13-year-old schoolgirl. Next question, why does Anne want to keep a diary? Anne wanted to keep a diary so that she could unburden herself, that is, she could take things off her chest. Why did Anne think she could confide more in her diary than in people? Why did Anne think she could confide? Confide means to share secrets. She felt that a diary would keep her secrets, that is, a diary wouldn't divulge her secrets to anyone. So she felt that she could confide more in a diary. Since no one would understand a word of my stories to Kitty if I were to plunge right in. So Anne is saying that if I were to plunge right in means if I started writing suddenly in my diary without any background, no one will understand a word of it. I'd better provide a brief sketch of my life, much as I dislike doing so. So she's saying it will be better if I give a brief sketch of my life. Although I don't like to describe myself or to write about myself, but here I'll have to do it. My father, the most adorable father I have ever seen, didn't marry my mother until he was 36 and she was 25. So, in this paragraph, Anne is talking about her family. She tells us about her father, that her father was the most adorable father she had ever seen, and he didn't get married till he was 36, and at that time her mother was 25. My sister Margot was born in Frankfurt in Germany in 1926. Then she further tells us about her sister. Her name is Margot and she was born in Frankfurt in 1926. I was born on 12th June 1929. I lived in Frankfurt until I was 4. So Anne is saying that she was born in 1929 and she lived in Frankfurt till she was 4 years old. My father emigrated to Holland in 1933. So when Anne was 4 years old, her father emigrated. Emigrated means to change place or to move. He moved to Holland in 1933. And why do you think he must have moved to Holland? Well, he moved to Holland to escape the Nazis. My mother, Edith Hollander Frank, went with him to Holland in September. So Anne's mother also went along with her father to Holland. While Margot and I were sent to Aachen to stay with our grandmother. So Anne and Margot, they were sent to Aachen, a place in Germany, to live with her grandmother. Margot went to Holland in December and I followed in February when I was plunked down on the table as a birthday present for Margot. So later on in December, Margot went to Holland and Anne followed in February, and it was a surprise for Margot where Anne was plunked as to drop casually on the table as a birthday present for Margot. I started right away at the Montessori nursery school. I stayed there until I was 6, at which time I started in the first form. In the sixth form, my teacher was Mrs. Cuperus, the headmistress. At the end of the year, we were both in tears as we said a heartbreaking farewell. So, in this paragraph, Anne is talking about herself, how she started away at the Montessori school and she was there until she was 6. And then when she was 6, she started in the first form. And when she reached the sixth form, her teacher was Mrs. Cupris, who was the headmistress also. And they had become so attached, that is Anne and Mrs. Cupris, that at the end of the year, when Anne was leaving the school, they both were in tears, that is, they both started crying when they were saying bye to each other. That is, it was a heartbreaking farewell. That is, both were feeling very sad. In the summer of 1941, Grandma fell ill and had have an operation, so my birthday passed with little celebration. So Anne is talking about the summer of 1941 when Grandma fell ill and she had to be operated. So they couldn't celebrate Anne's birthday. There was little celebration, that is, they couldn't celebrate it very grandly. Grandma died in January 1942. No one knows how often I think of her and still love her. This birthday celebration in 1942 was intended to make up for the other, and Grandma's candle was lit along with the rest. So, Grandma died in 1942, January 1942, and Anne missed her grandmother a lot, and she says that no one knows how often I think of her, and I still love her. And it was Anne's birthday in 1942, and she's saying that this birthday celebration was intended to make up for the other. That is, it intended, that is, the purpose was to make up for the other birthday which they couldn't celebrate. And she's saying that Grandma's candle was also lit along with the rest of the candles. That is, there was a Grandma's candle on the cake along with the others' candle. The four of us are still doing well, and that brings me to the present date of 20 June 1942 and the solemn dedication of my diary. So, Anne is saying that the four of us are still doing well. Four of us, that is Anne, Margot, and her parents. And then she says that it brings me to the present day, that she's talking about 20th June 1942. And what was so important of 20th June 1942? It was the date when she started writing her diary. So she's saying that this date is the solemn dedication of my diary. That is a sincere dedication of my diary. She's talking about a diary when she first started writing in her diary. Before we proceed further, let us discuss the questions of oral comprehension check. Why does Anne provide a brief sketch of her life? Anne feels that no one would understand a single word of what she writes in her diary, so she finds it better that she provide a brief sketch of her life. What tells you that Anne loved her grandmother? The line where she says that no one knows how often I think of her and still love her tells us how much Anne loved her grandmother, and missed her grandmother. This page, as you can see, is the diary entry which Anne made in her diary. You will find the date on the right hand corner, and she starts her diary as Dearest Kitty. She is addressing her diary by its name. Kitty is the name which she had given to her diary. Our entire class is quaking in its boots. So she is talking about the event which happened in our class that day. Our entire class is quaking in its boots, that is, our entire class is feeling nervous. The reason, of course, is the forthcoming meeting in which the teachers decide who will move up to the next form and who will be kept back. So the reason for all the students to feel nervous is the forthcoming meeting, that is the meeting which is about to take place, where the teachers will decide who will move up to the next class, that is, who will be promoted and who will be kept back. Half the class is making bets. Gian and I laugh ourselves silly at the two boys behind us. So Anne is talking about what the class is doing, that half of the class is making bets. They are making bets, that is, they are uh, laying bets on who's going to pass or and who's going to stay back. GN and I laugh ourselves silly. So Anne is saying that Anne and GN is one of her friends. They both were laughing silly at the two boys behind us. That is the boys who were sitting behind Anne and GN. They were doing something and which made GN and Anne laugh. CN and Jax, who have staked their entire holiday savings on their bet, and there was one CN and Jax who had uh, staked their entire holiday savings. That is, they had put their holiday savings money as a bet that who's going to pass and who's going to fail. From morning to night, it's you. You are going to pass. No, I am not. Yes, you are. No, I am not. So Anne is saying that from morning to night, that is the entire day, all of the children, they were doing this amongst themselves that yes, you are going to pass. So the other one would say, no, 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 I'm not going to. Then again he'll say, oh yes, you are going to pass. And he will insist, no, no, I'm not going to. Even G's pleading glances and my angry outbursts can't calm them down. So she's saying that even G's pleading glances, that is, G was pleading, looking in a pleading manner, that is, please don't do this, by irritating, and Anne's angry outburst. And Anne used to get very angry when they talked like this. So she's saying even these things couldn't calm them. If you ask me, there are so many dummies that about a quarter of the class should be kept back. But teachers are the most unpredictable creatures on earth. So Anne is saying that if you ask my opinion, I think there are half of the classes dummy, that is, they are dumb. So they should be kept back. They are not worthy of promoting. But Anne says that, but you cannot talk about teachers. They are the most unpredictable lot. Unpredictable lot, that is, you cannot say how they are going to behave or how they are going to react. I'm not so worried about my girlfriends and myself. We will make it. So Anne is saying that I'm not worried about myself and about my other girlfriends, that is, the girls who are her friends. We will make it, that is, we will go to the next class, or we will be promoted to the next class. The only subject I'm not sure about is maths. So Anne is saying that for all the other subjects I'm very confident, but I'm not sure about maths. Anyway, all we can do is wait. So she's saying that we cannot do anything right now. All we can do is wait for our results. Until then, we keep telling each other not to lose heart. So till the results arrive, we keep on telling each other, that is, we keep on telling our friends that don't lose heart, not to lose heart, that is, not to lose hope. Everything is going to turn out well. I get along pretty well with all my teachers. So now Anne is talking about her teachers. She says that I get along pretty well. That is, her relation with her teachers is very good. There are 9 of them, 7 men and 2 women. So she tells us that there are 9 of them, there are 9 teachers, and 7 of the teachers are men and 2 are women. Mr. Keesing, the old fogey who teaches maths, was annoyed with me for ages because I talked so much. So now she tells us about a maths teacher whose name is Mr. Keesing, and she says he was an old fogey, that is, an old-fashioned man, and he's saying that he was annoyed with me for ages, that is, he was very annoyed with her, very angry with her for ages, for a long time. And why was he angry? Because of Anne's habit of talking too much. After several warnings, he assigned me extra homework, an essay on the subject, a chatterbox. So he used to keep on warning Anne not to talk. But finally, after many warnings, he assigned her extra homework. He gave her extra homework. She had to write an essay on the subject, a chatterbox. Chatterbox means a person who talks very much. A chatterbox? What can you write about that? So Anne starts wondering, and what can you write about a chatterbox? I'd worry about that later. So she decides that I'll think about it later. I decided, I jotted down the title in my notebook. So she says that I'll think about it later. After deciding this, she writes down the title in her notebook and tucked it in her bag and tried to keep quiet after being reprimanded. So, students, this is all for today. Thank you.